Hey friends, in our podcast today, we're talking about some really exciting things. First of all, these guys are coming to Indiana. Who would have thought it? Of course, it's not completely done yet, but we're going to talk about, is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Secondly, we're actually in what was previously called Pride Month, but it's kind of quiet around here as it relates to that type of pride. In fact, a lot of states are doing just the opposite, including Indiana. They're declaring that the month of June is Nuclear Family Month. And what a great thing, because when you look at the data, families, healthy families are what make a nation thrive. I think it's great common sense that we're declaring this month of June a month to celebrate healthy marriage between a man and a woman and the children that they produce. I think that's somewhere in the Bible, so that's a good thing. We're also going to talk about election stealing and the debacle that's happening out in California right now, and a host of other issues that we'll touch on in our podcast today. You're going to not want to miss it.
Hey, welcome to the Ron Johnson Discipleship Podcast.
Here we are again, another exciting week, so much to talk about, but we need to start with the most important thing to talk about. You noticed my gear today. I'm wearing my normally cool black shirt, but I have added my Chicago Bears hat, and I have a gift for my co-host. You talked about this, the Hammond Bears, and they have become a reality, at least I think. So we're going to bring you in. You're getting rid of all the Washington, what do you guys call that team now? The Commanders?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I forget.
I've been a football vagabond, nomad for a long time.
Well,
so
you're putting roots down. This is a chance.
It might be time after 2 decades in the region. It might be my time to,
Hey, Matthew and I have agreed in prayer, and where two people come together in agreement, there's power. And so this is a direct result of our prayers that you're coming into the fold. And,
it only took for the Bears to move to a red state for me to do that.
And we were talking about it's almost like too good to be true for sports fans. Yeah. Now we're not talking about the bigger picture. There are a lot of questions about what does this mean, for instance, economically to the region. Yeah. And I think potentially it could mean a lot. I mean, we're talking about being able to host events like Super Bowls and because the Bears don't own the property currently, they really have their hands tied by the Chicago Parks District or whatever the authority is up there. Let me get this right. It is the Chicago Park District / public entities. So they've really had their hands tied now for many, many years because it's hard to do something in terms of vision or expansion or whatever you want to do when the property's not even yours. Yeah. So there's one lesson. And we know that we learned this during COVID. Churches that were renting were at the mercy of whoever owned that property.
The landlord, yeah. The school, the strip mall.
We saw churches closing up like crazy. That's when I had an aha moment that, that we need to own land. And it's just a good business principle. You don't want to put a lot of money into improvement of something that you ultimately have no ownership of. And this came to light in 2002. The Bears did that expansion, and it cost a total of $632 million, and the Bears invested $200 million to upgrade a piece of property that at the end of the day they don't own. The city of Chicago came up with $400 million that was financed publicly through bonds and taxes. But here was another violation of a biblical principle and biblical worldview. The debt was meant to be paid back using hotel tax revenue from tourism and visitors. It was not going to be a direct hit on most homeowners, so they were shielding the homeowners from getting the bill. But then this little thing called COVID happened. Yeah. And boy, once again, the Bible talks about not being presumptuous. Obviously, one of our principles is being conservative. Like you never budget on what you got last year. You want to budget on like about 90% or 80% or whatever. You want to leave yourself some margin for the unknown. But I tell you what, when these governments play fast and furious with taxpayer dollars, it comes back to bite you because nobody, and then the draconian leadership to absolutely shut down just about everything and keep people from traveling at all. It just destroyed the hotel business. And so they were expecting all this money that didn't come in. And so now here's where the situation is. The Bears are not going to keep investing money in a venue that they don't own. That doesn't make sense. They can't control key revenue such as parking, the naming rights of the facility, and development and operations. So those are major issues where they draw extra revenue, including a year-round venue that provides, revenue not just during football season, but throughout the year. That might be concerts and other things. Sure. So the bottom line is the Bears are looking for a place that they can own. Now, I did a little chat GPT to get some questions. I said, are the Bears officially moving to Indiana, or is it not final yet? And basically what they said was it wasn't final yet because no exact stadium site has been finalized in Hammond. Financing and construction plans and timelines are still being worked out. And the officials in Chicago say basically it's not final until the shovels are in the ground, meaning they might be trying to come up with some last-minute deal. But I think this is an example of what happens when you just have really bad government. Chicago's broke. They've added more taxes across the board. We heard their governor saying that we don't want to increase the taxes on folks from Illinois by adding this expensive stadium. They already just passed a massive tax increase while voters over there are already drowning under the tax burden. So it's an example, again, of just bad government stewardship. And then when you have we talked about this, when you have such an iconic team that's actually going to leave the state because it's being so poorly run, it just says a lot about the people in charge, even though everybody's playing the deflection game right now. But you bring up a bigger point because and maybe we could dive into this. Prior to going live, we were talking about what comes with an NFL team. We mentioned, first of all, the NFL is still very woke. From the corporate level. We're not seeing that among players. There's a lot of conservative players. But from the top down, they are very woke. And it makes you wonder, okay, we'd love to have the Bears, but we don't want woke values, and we don't want Illinois policy, public policy brought into Indiana. And once again, this is where I get frustrated about the redistricting, because we had a chance to actually flip District 1 and be able to have some good, sound government leadership in place. My concern is what's going to happen with the politicians in Northwest Indiana as the Bears potentially move in. Will they bring their woke policies with them, and what's that going to do to our community here?
Yeah, 100%. It's another story of a large private organization who says, you know what, we're going to move from a blue state to a red state. In this case, you're not moving thousands of miles. You're just moving across the state line.
We've known, obviously, Northwest Indiana is like a little mini suburb of Chicago. The rest of the state sees us that way. Of course, we get Chicago news, Chicago sports, everything. So I get it. But we've been busy here in our neck of the woods to make sure that those values are not part of the way.
As maybe more purple Northwest Indiana is still not Chicago blue.
Yeah, exactly.
So on one end, I think it's just indicative of blue state policies that drives large business, private business out because of profitability. On the other hand, I am concerned about who's paying for the stadium, what ties are to those money that's coming in. If the Chicago Bears move to Hammond, there will be tons of money spent. I mean, we all know that. It's going to probably make everyone's property value go up. It's good or bad depending on whether you want to buy a house or not in the region. However, what are the implications of that? I mean, every time Amazon or Boeing or whatever company is moving to a different state, there's always these questions. Right?
I was concerned. We had a lot of the Amazon distribution centers and so forth, and I knew some people from our church that were working in those environments. And again, they're coming in as an outside vendor, stepping in to do whatever it is that they do, whatever service they provide. But they were just so woke even during COVID. I mean, just crazy. A lot of control, hands-down, top-down stuff, and just crazy laws, masking, distancing, all kinds of stuff. And so that makes me a little bit nervous because, like we said, we just don't want those kind of values in our community at the end of the day. So we'll see, but it's exciting, and I never thought it would happen.
I did not think it was going to happen either.
Yeah.
What does it look like? What does it speak when something like the Bears, like iconic Chicago Bears?
Yep.
that they moved their stadium to Indiana.
And I got to tell you, Matthew will be proud of me. I have been watching on YouTube the highlights of the Bears-Packers game from last year. I could watch that over and over and over again. It just makes my heart feel so happy. It's like healing that's taking place in my heart, just watching us beat the Packers, especially the way we beat them last year. It was just so beautiful. So anyway, I'm looking forward to more of that this year, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah, they're still going to be in Chicago this year, right? Nothing's changing for a couple years.
This will be years down the road, I'm sure.
Right.
But it gives us hope.
Well, it's funny to me. So it might give me another reason to cheer for the Bears because they're in such a transition. Sometimes I just have this morbid cheering for the morbidity of the failure of Chicago. Does that mean I'm cheering for the Bears or I'm cheering for more of a?
And I just use this as an excuse that maybe the three of us can get together and sit in somebody's living room and eat some pizza and have a reason to be together.
I'm down for that. It's been a while since I really am passionate about any team. I mean, during the whole, even pre-COVID, just like the NBA, the NFL, I never really followed baseball. I was just like, I'm not into any of these teams, But I kind of missed that a little bit. I want that passion back.
Somebody to cheer for.
Somebody to cheer for,
yeah. Well, we'll be cheering. We'll be cheering this year. It's getting close.
Just Bears, don't make some crazy statement that's going to turn me off, please.
And
just do me a favor.
I think we need to get a fantasy league together too.
See, now you're talking. But
now we can be talking, on the podcast about how you did last week and all that, how I beat you.
Right now, if I play fantasy, it would just be like I would just have AI run the whole thing for me. Like you pick for me because I don't know anybody. I was talking to somebody. I was like, who's the quarterback for the Bears game? The guy who paints his fingernails. That's all I remember him by. So of course, my friend was not giving me a good look from that.
I was a little nervous. I have to admit when the nails came with the number one pick. I was a little nervous, but it's all working out all right. I'm settling down.
That's what he's known by to me. So Caleb something Williams, right?
Come on, there you go.
He is articulate though. He's winsome on the camera. So.
Well, hey, let's talk about some really cool stuff that's been happening here on the local front. We just launched our second week of 21 days of prayer, and we chatted about this before. When we first did one of these.
Oh, hold on. We talked about the Bears before I talk about 21 days of prayers.
I was so excited to give you that hat.
You got to start with the most important thing first. So just want to get that out of the way. I just have to say
news. That. Yeah, breaking news is always.
And our church has been doing 21 days
now
of prayer.
Let's go to something a little more important. How about a whole lot more important? But you launched that 6 a.m. Prayer time, and I didn't know what to expect. You figure if 20 people show up, that's awesome, 6 a.m. And, the last time we did this, tremendous response. But I tell you what, we've really even increased the momentum. Yeah. This Monday morning, we had 330 people out to join us in prayer at 6 a.m., which to me, when you're looking for signs of health, spiritual health in a church family, you're taking the pulse, you're listening to the heartbeat. This is a strong heartbeat when folks will come out and pray. And our focus has been this week on evangelism and letting the blessing of God not only land upon us, but flow through us. Yeah. And I think that's what we've been trying to establish in this Open Heaven series is, God, open heaven is just the smile of God, the favor of God, the blessing of God upon your life, the activity of the Holy Spirit present in your midst. These are things as believers we should expect and want and desire. And when we're not sensing that, it's a great time to repent and to return to the Lord, But the reason God blesses us is so that we can be a blessing to other people. And I think that's where the prosperity gospel got hijacked. It wasn't that anybody should have a problem believing that we should be blessed instead of cursed. Anybody would get that point. But I think what was missing was the fact that all of God's blessings are tied to God's mission. Yeah. And when you separate them and you make the blessings the end all to how much money I have, how big my bank account is, what's my net worth, how big is my house, how fancy is my car, that's just raw materialism. And God could care less about blessing us for the sake of blessing us, there's always a deeper purpose involved. There's always tied to touching other people, helping other people. It's like capitalism without Christ. When all you care about is your money, you've perverted the true spirit of capitalism. It's designed to serve people, to bless people, and then I have more than enough coming to me that I can actually give to other people, and that's what we want. So, man, when we're calling out and praying and sowing the seed and believing that those angels are going up and down the ladder and bringing answers to our needs, it really those types of images, I think, inspire people to want to pray. We talked about ringing heaven's bell. And I've had a number of people say those types of pictures are very, very helpful. They're colorful. They help you understand conceptually what's going on, and just really encourage you to open your mouth, open your heart, and pray. And man, I just take my hat off to our people. Great job, and it's exciting to see where this is going. And to our worship team. They're there. We start praying at 6. They're there before then, getting ready. Right. That's a big commitment on our worship team. And initially, if we just played music, I would have been happy. Like, hey, let's just get started. We just want to pray. But when you have the live worship team there and all the production team, it just adds so much to that experience, doesn't it? It's powerful.
Absolutely. Yeah, their morning starts way early. It's not just rehearsal and get everything ready. But I think people excited. I think there's a good spirit. There's definitely an adjustment in terms of the hours, but like you said, I think there's a hunger for the real presence of God. Yeah. And I think that's symbolic of our age today. There's a real hunger for what is real.
Absolutely.
In the age where there's so many fake things, AI this, fake that, social media, fake relationships, that longing. I think that just makes the longing for a real relationship with God so much more. And I think we see that in people coming out for prayer.
Amen. And then, when we say amen and send people off to their day, it's just exciting to me to see the buzz in the house, people talking, greeting one another, getting caught up. We're getting close to the summer months, school being out and all that, closely to heading off, getting a cup of coffee. I mean, people are all over the community connecting well after the prayer meeting's over. So really, really exciting.
Well, I think school's already out. I think that's why it's a great thing for young people to do.
That's right. Well, last week was maybe the last week.
Depending on the school, but a lot of kids are out already. So,
and that's the idea too. What a great way to get together, go out for a bite to eat, whatever. Saturday prayer was strong too. We had a really great attendance.
The sanctuary was suited for McCullough Wars. I came in and I was like, oh, that's right. It's like strategically set up with barricades and the seating. And I was like, okay, so
that was like what, speed dodgeball or something like that. Yeah,
that was funny.
And I reminded Pastor Aaron, I'm like, you're throwing what in the sanctuary? Do you know how much that screen up there costs? LED screen. I assure you, Pastor, we will not have any casualties. And so anyway, he delivered. So as long as he keeps delivering, but we're going to have to do a lot of car washes if one of those balls hits that screen. But anyway. We're moving on past that. I also was excited this morning. Of course, we encouraged everybody who was at prayer to stick around and go out. And as we committed that building project to the Lord.
Yeah, so that's a huge win for us. We got the contract signed with the bank. Yeah. Cash flows coming in. Today was our ground. I mean, not
we call it groundbreaking, but it's kind of the second round for the groundbreaking. But certainly just dedicating the whole process to the Lord, and I'm excited to see that. And again, just talking with Matthew today, we're going to be coming back with some live video as the project continues. Those are always fun, on site, so people can stay in touch with us and watch what's happening. Even those that are maybe not in our state that are connected with us, it's fun to watch. I get a lot of our NRP friends saying, "Hey, man, what's going on?" Or "I saw this seal going up." It's kind of fun to see that enthusiasm nationwide.
Yeah. It's renovating. It's like those renovating shows, except it's a church, and it's over 3 years. So sorry for the collapse.
We're signing a contract here for a 3-year commitment to produce videos on it. I hope it doesn't take that long. All right, let's talk about something as it relates to church. Liberty, freedom, all those types of things. It was probably several months ago now. I know it was cold. I think it was still winter. But Don Lemon. led a group of protesters into City's Church, which meets in St. Paul, Minnesota. They completely disrupted the service that had begun. There was a lot of intimidating behavior, yelling, screaming. The list goes on and on and on. To me, this is a slam dunk violation, desecration, which is what that demonic spirit wants to do, is just the opposite of consecration. They desecrate. So they interrupt the service, screaming all kinds of things, and basically shut down the service. What can you do after that besides trying to get them out, the police called, all that kind of thing? So I'm thinking this is going to be a slam dunk court case. You can't just send a mob into a church that's worshiping the Lord on a Sunday morning and call that, a protest, legal protest.
Yeah.
You're on private property. Doing that inside of the church is not the same as doing it on a sidewalk or whatever, or a park outside. It's just wrong on so many fronts. And now the prosecutor, I don't know the official title, but in Minneapolis there, just basically dismissed the case and came on the side of the protesters as this was their First Amendment right. They could violate the religious liberty and conscience protections of the people in the church. And now, while they're not coming in the church anymore, the pastor was just sharing on Fox News that every single Sunday, as people are walking into the doors, they're standing out front of the church, yelling and screaming and threatening and intimidating. You can imagine if you're a single mom or a family bringing kids, how intimidating just that environment is. And it was beautiful because this pastor just boldly shared the gospel, that's what their focus is, that they're not going to stop their mission and they're going to continue to move ahead. And I appreciated that bold witness. But nevertheless, this is injustice. This should not be allowed to happen. Even on the sidewalk outside of the church, with that kind of behavior or whatever, it's just incivility. That's not how we're called to act. But it shows a complete disregard and hatred for Christianity and for God and for the sacredness of that worship space. So that's what we can expect more and more and more on the left.
Yeah, I expect the state level to not prosecute because that's how the state is. I'm wondering, are there any federal prosecutions coming down? Because I thought they were.
Yeah.
So,
well, it'll be interesting to figure out where that goes because it certainly impacts all churches. If one group of people can get away with that kind of horrific behavior, then other people will be more.
Oh, imagine the chaos.
Oh yeah.
But then it's not even just church. I'll just go into your house and private property.
Oh yeah, we saw that outside of some of our Supreme Court justices' homes, and they wouldn't shut that down. Which again, elections matter because people in authority get to appoint judges and those types of things, and this is the mess that we get when we get the wrong people in office. Let's just quickly touch on what's going on in California. Talk about getting the wrong people in office. California is a mess and continues to be lawless. We talked about the current mayor who's leading right now in the vote totals, but she was followed closely by
Spencer
Pratt. And then there was this third candidate,
Raman.
Yeah, who really didn't have much of a shot. Well, all of a sudden,
I think she conceded on election night.
She did, and she was crying and asked, I'm sorry I let you guys down.
Yeah. All
this kind of stuff. And then now, this is what's amazing about the Democrats: when people sleep, their votes go up exponentially because they're taking these rigged ballots and they're ballot stuffing, and then they're counting them. In fact, this is the other thing that you and I have talked about that is a travesty of justice, that we live in the day of modern, AI. We can ask AI a question and get an instant answer that's incredibly detailed, but we can't get an election total an hour. How about 5 minutes after the polls close? I heard there's hundreds of thousands of these ballots that they still have yet to count. We will not know the outcome of the mayoral race in L.A.
till early July, a whole month.
Yeah, which even that is a violation of integrity in terms of voting. The longer we wait, the less confidence we have in the system. And there's no reason why we should not know who the winner of that election is like immediately after the doors close, because it should all be computer based and electronic.
Well, it's the mail-in ballot, right? They get to be postmarked. There's a grace window, 7-day post-election grace window to postmark that. So I think the Supreme Court right now is in this process of deciding about whether it's going to be election month or election day. And there's a purpose of why making an election day versus election month, because it's a complete different game. It's complete different elections. Why don't we just call it election year? Why don't we just spend the whole year collecting votes? And basically the whole year is people go out and ballot harvesting.
Yep.
And I believe in California, what they do is they send out ballots to every person on the voter roll.
Yep.
So,
and a lot of those people aren't even alive.
Well, that's the thing. You got to make sure the voter roll is clean, because you sent ballots to people who have already left the state, or they have passed away or whatnot, or they're not even legal. So there's so many questions out there that makes somebody who – so the net result is someone who Raman, who conceded on election night, and as of today, I checked this morning, I think she is in lead over Spencer Pratt.
And all they're trying to do is get the two Democrats in, and then at that point, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
And then Bass will. If Bass can get reelected after the Palisades fire and that whole debacle, she's come out with like communist ties, sympathies, those types of things. I mean, what's crazy is she's like majorly far left, but this lady that's currently closing in. Mm-hmm. She's even worse. Right. She's even worse, which is unbelievable. I don't know how you live in that kind of a cesspool without making change. I don't know if all the Republicans are just leaving the state because it is a cesspool. The homeless situation they have, the drug problem that they have, the filth that's everywhere, garbage. You look at all these graffiti. I mean, it's terrible, and I think people are sick of it. But again, if there's no election integrity, I guess you can never change it. It just goes from bad to worse.
You're going to vote yourself out of that.
Yeah.
I saw the post. Someone says it's really easy to vote yourself into communism. It's almost impossible to vote yourself out of communism.
Yeah, good point. And we have historical proof of all of this stuff. Yeah. So anyway, pray for the saints in California that we can actually get some good leadership out there. On a bright note, we are in the month of June, and we're not hearing the normal June rants from all the
really refreshing
the Pride Month.
I don't know if
and
they're
everything.
still coming. I don't know if they're going to do a parade outside my house or not. I don't even know. Hopefully not.
I think not, because as I'm reading the data, I mean the funding for these groups is drying up. I mean, there's no money, and the human rights coalition out in D.C., they used to strong-arm all of these businesses to be on their human rights index, and if you somehow didn't make their index, it was a big strike against you. But this is like mafia behavior, right? How the mafia would come in and say, you give us X amount of dollars, we'll make sure your building doesn't burn down. This is like you pay us, and we'll make sure we don't say anything bad about you or call you homophobic or whatever. That number of businesses has dropped like 65% that are playing that game. Like, that game's pretty much over. The funding game is pretty much over. And so if these guys want to have their parade, go have your parade, but we're not paying for it, and corporate America is not paying for it, and that's a good thing. I wanted to give a shout out to our own governor here in the state of Indiana, Governor Braun. A number of states are not only not having Pride Month, but they are completely redeeming it, which is really, really exciting. Our governor declared the month of June Nuclear Family Month, and came out with a very attractive social media graphic here that says the following: the nuclear family, one husband, one wife, and any biological, adopted, or fostered children, is God's design for the family structure and the foundation of society since the creation of this world. Just that paragraph is full of a lot of controversial points that never used to be controversial, but we honor God, and we talk about a model, and we talk about a design that God designed. We include families that embrace not only their biological children, but adopted children and foster children. That's certainly in the Christian worldview. Research shows that children with married biological parents have better physical and emotional well-being. That's an established fact. When families weaken, society pays the price through welfare dependency, school struggles, and social decline. So we see, again, the burden on society when we don't have strong families. Strong families build strong adults and stronger communities. Hoosier values celebrate the commitment mothers and fathers have made to each other and to their children. And they end with this: as we celebrate our 250th anniversary of the United States, we recognize that growing and strengthening families is critical to the next 250 years. Wow, what a strong, Christ-centered, Bible-centered, biblical worldview. Sociological centered, all of the above. But I mean, I don't know that a pastor in a local church could have written a better declaration.
Yeah.
So
I'm a little surprised at Ron saying that.
Yeah.
Pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, well, he's been with us. He's not maybe as out there and vocal as others, but quietly he's leading and he's doing the right thing, and I just really applaud him for that. Yeah. Also, I thought this was good. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the Republican governor from Arkansas, they just declared a proclamation declaring June to be Fidelity Month. And I love this. She says, the United States of America was founded on the values of faith, liberty, and patriotism, as acknowledged in its founding documents and in the statements of the Founding Fathers. Here's what the proclamation reads: the commitment of Arkansas to spiritual and civic institutions is at the core of the state's collective identity, cultivating fidelity to God, family, community, and country. Contributes to human flourishing and supports a healthy, stable, well-ordered society. It continues, practices that encourage virtue, commitment, responsibility, and shared moral foundations strengthen both individuals and their communities. Fidelity Month provides an opportunity for residents to reflect on and renew commitments to these shared values and institutions. Again, wow, that's a grand slam home run. Talking about things that we haven't heard of, like patriotism, commitment to country. I mean, all these things that the left never talks about. Another one here, we don't have time to go into all, but Tennessee Governor Bill Lee also rejected Pride Month and instead declared June to be Nuclear Family Month. He said Tennessee's values do not align with the humanistic, globalistic ideologies of the World Health Organization, the United Nations, and like-minded organizations that fight for population control through the means of promoting sterilization and abortion practices. He said the nuclear family is God's perfect design for humanity and is aligned with the long-held tradition of values in Tennessee, but is under attack in our beloved state and nation. It is our responsibility to uplift, protect, and support the values that help Tennessee prosper. And he went on to talk about the social costs that are paid when we allow families to be destroyed. This is the one I was looking for. According to an NRP report, corporate sponsorship for the 2026 Pride Month is declining even further, falling by an estimated 60 to 70% from years past. That's huge. How did we experience this radical reversal in just, a couple of years? It goes back to elections have consequences. One of the very first things President Trump did was say, we're now officially declaring there are two genders. He just brought clarity to that issue, and it's amazing to me. Sometimes people are just looking for somebody with the courage to say what they believe out loud. And I think we're seeing this. I'm seeing it. We're also seeing it with the Islamic invasion that has been happening in America as well. People are saying what everybody thinks and everybody's concerned about. And it goes back to leadership again. So I'm in awe of how that whole, powerful coalition that was like steamrolling everything.
Unstoppable.
It seemed unstoppable. And now it's like...
Remember the Religious Freedom Restoration Act in Indiana?
Gosh.
And how everyone came down our throats because we want to carve out religious liberty?
Absolutely. All the major corporations were pummeling our governor at the time.
NCAA, Salesforce.
And some of them are still woke at their leadership, but at least they're not running around with a megaphone screaming in our faces and trying to shove everything down our throats. So here again, we're talking about the gospel. We're talking about truth. We're talking about worldview, having answers to life's most pressing problems. To me, all of this is just a sign that if godly people get involved, if godly people have a voice, if we connect the dots, if we say things that are true and don't care about somebody trying to cancel us or whatever, you can experience a radical reversal in a short amount of time. I guess I'm just reminded, the older I get, pessimism is never part of our lifestyle or worldview. We're never called to be doomsday prophets, because every time the church shows up, great things happen. And every time we get involved and we keep proclaiming truth eventually wins. And so even with the ongoing struggles we're still facing, it should cause us to have a great deal of hope that, things don't have to go from bad to worse and worse and worse and worse. We can experience a true renaissance of faith and revival in this country. So let me just say a couple more things before we close out. Number one, starting Sunday morning, we begin Outpour, which is going to be really, really awesome. Ivan Tate will be in town. Of course, Ivan ministers to widows and orphans. They've established a crazy, awesome ministry that ministers to hundreds and hundreds of orphans. It's just amazing. So it's going to be a great night of impartation, personal ministry, salvation, healing, deliverance. It's going to be powerful. So I encourage everybody to come out, set your calendar for that. And then lastly,
that's Sunday, all three services, correct?
All three services, yep. Sunday night, Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night. I know probably most people can't come to everything, but come out, because Ivan's, I'm grateful. He travels all over the world and ministers all over the United States as well. And I'm grateful that he's willing to invest 4 days of a busy schedule to pour into what's going on here. So that's going to be really, really fun. And then our not taking heaven, but making heaven crowded. Yeah. I'm sorry, by TPUSA. We're very, very excited about the folks that are coming out to be a part of that event. Some amazing speakers that will be on hand for that. Did I miss anything?
Well, there is also the Supreme Court decision in education.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Mamon versus Taylor. So it was a 63 cases which the conservatives, the decision written by Alito, granting a preliminary injunction requiring Montgomery Public School, this is in Maryland, to provide advance notice and allow opt-out for elementary students from specific LGBTQ plus inclusive storybooks. Yeah. It's like 22 books that they kind of just force the parents that you can't opt out.
Yep.
And there was so 63, the justice issue a preliminary injunction to say, hey, the parents' right have to be respected.
And this is huge. That's another win for the biblical worldview, because the biblical worldview teaches that you and I are responsible for our children. And when we take our kids to the public school or anywhere public anything, our rights as parents don't stop at the door of the public school. Those children are our responsibility. So, and as we've seen over and over again, a lot of the curriculum that they've used to indoctrinate these kids and that whole worldview is outright perverted, if not pornographic. It's wicked material. And the idea that you cannot just simply remove your child from class on that day. That's removing your child from class should be granted, but what it shows you is we've lost our public school systems, because that garbage shouldn't be in there to begin with. So now the other kids have to sit through these, perverted instructions and
pay less attention.
Yeah, it's wicked all over. But praise God, because if the public school system does not come around and listen to the parents whose children are going there, we're going to see a revolution in education, I believe with all my heart, and that school choice, which that's what that supports, and allowing the money to follow your student instead of a top-down kind of thing, again, shoved down our throats. This is huge, because parents are going to have choices and parents are going to have money, and they're going to be able to put their kids in school systems that really are best for their children.
This decision is huge. Well, first of all, the contrary would have been terrible if the converse was decided, but they specifically, my understanding is they specifically talked about parental rights. It's not a side issue. It's not a side issue. Parents, these kids are ultimately the parents' responsibility. Yeah. It's not the schools.
Yes.
So that division has been in battle for a long time. I mean, even if I hear rumbling here, even in our community, the school feels like, once you come to my school, these are my kids. No, they ultimately belong to the parents.
It's that whole myth of the expert, right? We know better than you. We are trained professionals, and it's not just in public education. It happens in science. It happens in a lot of different fields. Leave leave your kids to us. We're the experts. And it's like very
we'll liberate you from your parents.
Yeah, very insulting to parents to somehow those who helped create you, birth you, raise you, change your diaper, that somehow you don't really know what's best for your child, which is actually insulting.
You educate them, you send them home. You don't have to deal with it anymore. The parents are the one who's raising them, who birthed them, who care for them, who
entrusted you with taxpayer dollars to educate them. So anyway, I'm excited again about a lot of these changes. I see a lot of people being elected and a lot of new leaders that are very courageous and was speaking out on these issues. So we just need to keep our nose to the ground here and keep working hard and doing our part to train up amazing people. But I'm excited, and I am excited too because I really believe that the facility that's being resurrected over there is just going to be an outstanding, state-of-the-art, world-class building to fulfill the Great Commission, to train young people, equip young people, send young people, and that's exciting.
I'm just excited that they can throw balls and we don't destroy any LED screens.
Yeah,
hopefully.
that too.
We already have an LED screen that you threw.
Absolutely, but nothing that a little paint won't cover up. But anyway, no, but I'm so excited. For a long time we've been hamstrung around here, and I'm just very, very excited in terms of the facilities, what's going to come out of the dirt there. It's going to be beautiful. So praise God. The Lord is on the move, and we're excited about what's happening. Thank you guys again for tuning in. Give us some feedback. We love to hear that you're watching. It just encourages us to keep up with this. And I encourage you to, besides the podcast here, take a look online at our Sunday services. A lot of great content coming out there. Of course, Ivan's going to be ministering this week. My son, Pastor Ronnie, will be ministering on Father's Day. And we'll have a brand new series coming up. By the way, I'm going to be preaching 2 Sundays on Freedom Sunday. It'll be Freedom Sundays this year because we got our 250th anniversary, and we're going to be talking a lot about biblical foundations that make America great. So I'm not going to want to miss that. Anyway, we'll look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.